Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Welcome. This is Reverend Doti Boon, and you're here with the Center for Creative Living. Happy New Year! We've got a brand new year, 2021. Isn't that exciting? I know it is for me, because there's so many things coming up. And I want you to stay tuned today, because I'm going to be doing some predictions. I'm going to tell you what Ma said about coming up. Some real interesting things. At least I'm interested in them because they were so unique. So I want you to stay around for that. Now, next week, our wonderful Reverend Dr. Ayleen Augustine is going to be our talker. Do you like that? Our talker, our speaker, the person who's going to be here to talk to you about how are you changing during all of this. And I'm so excited to have her. As usual, she comes in with the adults in the room, as it were, because sometimes I just crack up laughing when I'm talking to you folks, because it makes me feel so good to be here on Sunday and to be here doing church. Have you all done that lately? Have you all taken a nice, deep breath? Whatever you did to celebrate New Year's Eve, it was to let you know that you're starting a brand new year. A brand new year full of new challenges, new excitements, new things to do, new places to go. So much is coming up in this year, and we're so glad you're going to be a part of it. So thank you so much for tuning in to the CCL. And if you're not getting the CCL Insights, let us know. Our CCL Insights is a way that you can keep up with what we're doing, who's going to be speaking, and what's happening at the Center for Creative Living. And you can also find out how to get in touch by going on our website at the Center for Creative Living UCM.org. And in the background, as always, you hear the wonderful Reverend Corry Gott. And she's there. She is. Her hand has a green tinge today. I don't know what she got into last night. But anyway, we're going to have a wonderful day today. I'm going to be giving the talk. That's kind of good. And our wonderful Dr. Ayleen is going to be doing the message and prayer. And our wonderful Reverend Janet Childs will do meditation. And Reverend Corry Gott will be doing the video. And we might even have some musicians just show up. Yeah, just show up. They do that sometimes. Whatever it is, know that we truly love you, and we're glad to be celebrating a new year with you.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Ayleen Augustine, and I want to wish each and every one of you every possible blessing for 2021. 2020 was tremendously difficult, and it held so many different types of challenges on so many different levels. We saw things about our society that maybe were really hard to see, that yes, injustice is there. And we also learned that we are often helpless in the face of huge natural occurrences. Yet with all of that, we also learned that we are more resilient than we ever thought we could be, that we have the ability to adapt, that we can show concern for one another and support one another without physically being there. And we also learned how important those little normal things like going to lunch with a friend or just, giving a hug. We learned very well how important those are, and we will never forget that. So there were gifts with 2020, and there were some people that, there were some good things that happened. So in taking all of 2020 together, yes, we are ready to let it go, and we will never forget all of the growth that we gained out of it. 2020 was a way for us to see just how far we've come. And it was also a great opportunity for us to actually use all the tools that we've been learning. So I am grateful to 2020 because I know that I'm not the same person that started this year. That I feel more connected, oddly enough, to those I love and to the community that I'm a part of. It is so much more precious to me just because I didn't have the access to it. So consider the things that you have to be grateful that 2020 taught you, because we can take all of those lessons and all of that growth and transform 2021 into whatever we choose it to be. I mean, there's going to be difficulties, there's going to be challenges, certainly. And there's also infinite opportunity and infinite possibilities. I choose to focus on those, and I encourage you to focus on your own possibilities. Because truly, with Creator, anything is possible. So take a nice deep breath in, and as you let it out, allow anything weighing on your body, your mind, or your spirit to fall into that little basket next to you, because that's your care basket. And in this place and in this moment, you don't need to hold on to those things. Dear, wonderful, and blessed Creator, we thank you for this day and we thank you for our lives. We thank you for all the blessings you give in each and every moment and with each and every breath. We thank you for all that you brought to us in 2020 that allowed us to grow and allowed us to become more wise and more compassionate and more aware. We know that it takes a lot of pressure to make a diamond, and that many diamonds were formed during the challenges that we faced. We know that there is nothing that you give us that you don't know that we can handle. And we also know that there is no time that your will take us where your grace will not protect us. Creator, thank you for seeing us through this year. And for all those who we lost during that year, and there were so many, Creator, we know that they are safe with you, that they are smiling upon us and helping to support us. And we also know that you are there to stand right by us as we grieve, that you surround us with your love so that we can move through and move forward. Creator, we thank you for all those who continue to work as essential workers, whether they're taking care of utilities, removing our waste, helping us as cashiers, or whether or not they're in the hospitals and care facilities and home health care workers, all of those who are making sure that people are taken care of. We ask that you let them know how strong they are and to support them in this time that is so difficult for so many. Creator, we know you will see us through this process out to the other side, and there will be gifts waiting for us. So we thank you, Creator. We thank you for loving us. We thank you for teaching us what it truly means to love each other and for giving us an opportunity to realize how precious that connection is. Creator, thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for always believing in us. Thank you for always being there for us, even when we don't notice. And Creator, whatever it means to you, Happy New Year. Thank you for the old. We look forward to the new. And whatever it means to you, I hope you have a wonderful day. For all your creation to the next 7 generations and beyond, Aho Matap Oyasin, Ago, 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 by earth, sea, and sky, Namaste, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum. Blessed be, and Amen.
Welcome this brand new year with open, loving arms, our dreams and all intentions for great things to come. We won't forget the days gone by. Our hearts, they'll always be. With kindness we'll freely give, and abundance we'll receive. We raise our voice with warm songs so full of good cheer. May blessings flow for all to use to transform in this new year. Are you ready? Let's celebrate all people with their zodiac in the year. Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. Big dreams and aspirations motivate us to fly. Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. Let's give each other so much love, and may it ever grow. Sagittarius and Capricorn, to name them all. Tradition gives new guidance with our zodiac sign. We raise our voice with warm songs so full of good cheer. May blessings flow for all to use to transform in this new year. May blessings flow for all to use to transform in this year. Happy 2021!
Did you ever wonder why we do predictions and resolutions for the new year like we do for 2021? So many times we're trying to see what's going on, what's happening, what is it that we really need to know. And yet you go to a psychic and they tell you something, and sometimes it's not right. It doesn't happen that way. But at the time when you hear it, you go, yeah, I think that's a good idea, but I think I could change it. Quite often we hear things of what's coming up and we decide we'd like to change it. It doesn't work quite that way. Start looking at when you're making your predictions of what you want. When you say, oh, I predict that I'm going to meet the love of my life, then don't stop worrying about what you did right or wrong. Don't say to yourself, oh, maybe I don't want to do it that way. Just put out what you want for yourself. Put out a prediction of what you want to have happen for this year. And the resolve that that's what you're going to do. I'm sure that in the future, people are still going to be saying, what's going to happen in the future? We're kind of geared that way, of trying to figure out what we're going to be doing in the future, if it's going to be the right thing, the wrong thing. Right now If you want to talk to somebody like myself, who's a psychic, and find out what's coming up, that's great. But know that you are basically very intuitive. Stop, let your mind clear, and say, what do I want to predict for me for the coming year? And write it down. Write today's date down. Write down, I predict for myself that, and put down predictions. And then fold them up, put them in an envelope, and I'll put them up next year and check off how well you did. Because everybody has that ability to be able to see into the future. Sometimes it's no more than being able to see what you're going to eat for lunch. But sometimes it's going farther than that, seeing what's coming up in the next month, the next year. So start working with that, okay? When I do a prediction for somebody, I get a clear picture in my head that my spirit guide Ma gives me. And it's a picture of quite often who they're going to be meeting, kind of what they look like. Sometimes it's a new house. Sometimes it's a new job. So I'm not just hearing a voice, I'm also seeing pictures. And I think many of you do the same thing. Many of you all of a sudden get a picture in your mind of something you go, oh, I'm just imagining that. Stop saying you're just imagining that and say, that's what I predict for myself this year. And work on it, because as you work on it, it becomes more clear exactly what it is that you want. So you can be a predictor for yourself. You can go to other people and have them predict things. But always know that your mind is the best thing for you to follow. So start looking at it. And don't let other people influence you and say, that won't happen. That can't happen. And the horrible one when someone says, well, you're not good enough for that to happen. Yes, you are. You're good enough for all the positive things to happen. But first, we want you to see it in your head or think about it and predict it for yourself. You could become your own predictor. This is going to motivate you to move in that direction. That's why I tell people, if you go to see a psychic, if you go see somebody who is a counselor, if they say something that you just totally do not believe or do not like, tell them that. Because they may be seeing something that's green and you see something that's lime green. And it's not cohesive for you. It's not the same thing. But let them know what it is they see for you. Because we have a lot of people around, especially here in this church, that are so good at predicting about what's coming up in the future. Now imagine, you can all do this with me. Just close your eyes and imagine you're on a train and you're going down the tracks, okay? And the train starts picking up speed and it goes faster and faster. And the locomotive is chugga, and here you go, and you're going down the tracks, and it just seems like you're going so fast. So you get into fear and you get scared. Now, what would have happened if when you got on the train, somebody said, you know, this train never goes over 35 miles an hour, and the engineer of the train is the most competent on the whole line? You'd get on that train relaxed, wouldn't you? Well, that's the same thing that happens when you go see somebody that predicts something for you. It lets you calm down and enjoy the ride without constantly worrying about, oh no, something bad might happen. So when you think about predictions and when you think of what's coming up in the future, always see the positive part of that, okay? Always see that everything is in control. So you don't panic. You don't get fearful. That's one of the problems that we've been having with the COVID situation. We know people that have gotten this flu. And so immediately we think, oh no, what do I do if I get it? You're predicting that you're going to get it. Instead of saying that, say to yourself, I am healthy. And let's put out your prediction as I am not going to get sick and I am not going to get COVID. You can predict for yourself. Now, what about resolutions? Many times we make resolutions about what we want to have happen, but we want to have come up in the future. I resolve that I will make them resolutions you know you can do and you can accomplish. The worst thing is for somebody to really make a resolution that says, I can walk on water. And what happens when you sink? You go, oh, I'm bad, I'm wrong, I didn't do it correctly. Find ways that you can make resolutions of things you're going to truly do this next year. And the resolutions could be you're going to go out for a walk every day. The resolution could be you're going to take a shower every day, especially after we've been quarantined. Some of us aren't showering as much as we should. Just start making resolutions that you can complete and feel good about yourself. Don't make resolutions that say next year I'm going to win $500,000 and then feel that you have lost because you never got that money. But you set that goal to a point that it's not going to happen. Now, if you resolve that you're going to win $500,000 and you get into a contest where the first prize is $500,000, you've got a good chance of winning it. When I go somewhere and they have door prizes, I find the one I want and I say, that's mine. I resolve, that's mine. And I nearly always win it. What is that? That sets things in motion in the universe. As spiritualists, we know that the universe gives us what we want. So what you do is you predict something that's coming. And then you do a resolution that says, I'm going to take the steps to make it happen. Remember how much you are in charge of who you are and where you're going. Now, when Ma was talking about so many different things coming up next year, one of the things he said is movement. There's going to be movement in so many different things. Our country just kind of slowed down. At some points, it almost came to a stop. But 2021 is about movement. Things are going to start picking up. And like that locomotive, they're going to get going. Chug, 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 chug. But they're not going to slow down at 35 miles an hour. Things are coming up new in the land, in the United States, that are positive. Businesses are going to be reopening. The economy is going to be balancing. Political things are going to be happening. So much is happening, but mainly, look at what's happening to you. You are like a seed that was planted and was dormant, and now in 2021, you're going to be watered, and you're going to start blossoming and blooming. So don't ever say to yourself, I can't. It's not my time. I'm not ready. Say, I see, I predict that I'm getting a better job this year, and then start making resolutions. Maybe I need to take a class, maybe I need to get a certification, but you're going to resolve that and take the steps to move forward for that new job. I know this isn't new. You've all heard this before, but in 2021, let's start it again. Let's get it going. And you move your life forward, just like everybody else is going to be doing. No matter where you are, if you want to move to another place, predict. I predict I'm going to be living in Oregon in 2021 in the month of October. And then start making the resolutions on how that's going to happen. Because you are in charge of your own body, your own space, your own mind, all of these things that sometimes you forget. That as you see it happening and then do the resolving, the steps to make it happen, you can accomplish miracles. This is a time of year where I do predictions. Now, those of you who know me know I have a spirit guide. This is somebody, I'm a medium, and I have a guide that's been talking to me since I was 5 years old. He's been around for a long time. And what happens is I'll be talking and all of a sudden I'll just kind of look a little bit vague. And that's like, I'm listening. I'm hearing what Ma has to say. And this morning, I was still in bed when Corky came in and said, what's Ma going to say today? And I said, no, that's not fair. That's a preview, you know. But what happens is my guide starts talking to me about things that are going to come up. So as all of us are, I was very concerned about what's happening, about issues in our country and in the world. So I'm going to tell you some of these things because I think you're going to be just as excited and interested as I am, because I was concerned that all I was going to hear was doom and gloom. But that's not the case. One of the first things that Ma said is that, you know, you can go back into church the first part of May, which means since the churches were the ones that started closing first, because there was very much of a concern about pandemic, that everything is going to be wide open by the 1st of May if we're going to go back and have church services in our place. And I was thrilled by that. The other thing he said is that the vaccines that are being used are already slowing the spread in other countries. Our country has just started, so we're going to be watching it, but it is slowing the spread of the virus. I don't know about you, but for me, that I have been incarcerated is what it seems like. I have been in quarantine since March. And so for me, it's going to be a long haul to wait until May. But I know since I'm at the top of the tier, according to my doctors, I am going to be getting the vaccine fairly soon. And I know I'm going to be around because of it. And because my guide says that I'm not dying in 2021, which is always a good thing to know. Okay, when you have somebody saying, now you're not leaving this year. Well, good. The other thing that Ma had to talk about was drought. Now, we are always concerned about what's happening if we don't get enough rain, what's happening worldwide, that there have been droughts that have been horrendous. And according to my guide, we have people working on desalinization of the ocean. And what my guide says is that we are going to be doing millions and millions and millions of gallons of water. As the water is increasing, as the oceans are increasing, we're going to start using it for not only drinking water, but also for watering crops and doing that. And I said, well, what's that mean? And he said that by 2040, there are going to be flowers blooming in the Sahara. Imagine enough water that they can have water in the Sahara. Not that they're drilling wells, but they're diverting water from the ocean, and it's going to be without the salinization. So that is one of those things I was fascinated about, because I was raised on a ranch. And to see that there's going to be enough water for crops, for me, that was a really positive prediction. He also said that we are going to start going into a time of a difference in the way people look at gender. And I said, well, that's interesting. And because there's going to be a change in music, there's going to be a change in all sorts of things that we have taken for granted for centuries, things are going to change. Now, think about that. What happens when usually you found out somebody was pregnant and they said, and I'm going to have a baby girl, or you immediately thought, oh, I've got to get them something pink. That's going to slow down. And what Ma says is by the beta generation. Right now we're in the alpha generation. On the beta generation, there is going to be something that is so remarkable that you're not going to be looking at pink and blue. You're going to be looking at a baby, not what gender. And that change, that as it comes about, is going to be amazing. Now, I'm talking about this because after I was talking to Corky this morning about some of the predictions, I took a nap. And I woke up and I had a vision. And this vision was standing in front of me. And it was a person that had a short little boy haircut, big glasses. They were wearing a man's shirt and a man's tie with a kind of a soft jacket and a skirt that was real flouncy and real pretty, and boots. And this person said to me, talk about us. That just That's true. Talk about what's happening with they and them. Talk about that this is remarkable and that people are being able to say, this is my gender. And that it's so important for you, instead of saying, yeah, but really, what's your real name or how are you? No, it's time for us to all grow up and realize people can change who they are thinking about, what they're thinking about, and where they're going in life. And that was a biggie for me, because that reset my mindset this morning about how I talk to people and how I am with people, and especially people in my family and in my life. Okay. The other thing that Ma said is that Joe Biden, during his term this coming year, is going to be sick a little bit. He said it's not major, but when he gets sick, everybody's going to make a big to-do about it. And he said, please don't sit there making a lot about something that isn't a big deal. My guide says that the media has been, the more papers that are sold, the more clicks that are made, the more money the media makes. The more some people really take on all of that and grow from it. And it's stuff that causes problems in people's lives that it shouldn't. People get sick, people get well. Our president is going to be very angry this coming year, starting tomorrow. The anger starts building. Don't buy into the anger. Anytime you see somebody who's angry, send them love. I know that sounds like who I am. I'm a minister. Start sending love to those people that irritate the heck out of you, because it really throws them off. They don't know what to do. It's one of those things that is the power you have, not to stand there arguing with somebody whose mind is made up of what's going on. So what my guide is saying, that he sees, yes, there's going to be anger. Yes, there's going to be problems. Yes, there's going to be differences happening. Some of them have to do with the police department and reorganization and things that are going to be happening to bring about that sense of more love, less anger, frustration, hatred about one group or another. And how does that start? It starts with you. That's what I was hearing this morning. Dottie, if you don't talk about love, who's going to do it? So every time you have that feeling of they're no good, stop and say, they're walking their path. It's not my path. And that's a big thing that you can be doing, is finding out what is your path. You have had 8 months in quarantine to think about your path. What did you come up with? What is the path that you're walking? Not how angry you are at the path that somebody else is walking, okay? Now, there's so many other things that I got from Ma, and one of the things that I really enjoyed reading about is that this whole idea that we have that we are changing overnight. We are going back to where we came from. And Ma said, no, you're not. Life is going to be different. It's not going to be the same, but it doesn't mean it can't be better. We hear about restaurants closing, and Ma says, yes, but there's also new restaurants that are going to be opening up, serving food that we're not used to. Some of the places and some of the things that we used to go and get are going to be changing, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different. So we're going to be looking at things in so many different ways. Also religion. There's a lot of people who say, well, they're a religious nut, or this is, and they don't mean that. What they mean is, I'm not following the teachings that they're following. You don't have to be against them. You can accept them. And that acceptance goes right along with the love that my guide was talking to me about. As I told you, he's quite a character, because he's always talking about love. Isn't that something? And so now, what's going to happen with rent in the Bay Area? Ma said some of the rents are going to be coming down. Some of the big industries are going to be moving. But also, Ma says we're going to have an influx in 2022 of people that are older. that California is going to start having more retired people move in. That sounds so unbelievable. We're so much of a youth culture here in California, and yet Ma says that we're going to become more like Florida with people, the elderly, that are going to be moving in. So when you think about that, isn't that interesting that you're going to have more elderly people? I never would have thought of that. So I really want to follow this one and check it out and see what's going on. And this is also a time for each one of you to start looking at, are you depressed? Did you wake up this morning and go, yippee, I'm alive? Or did you wake up this morning and go, oh no, everything's the same? Well, it's not the same. We've got new things coming up, new positive things coming up. Instead of walking into your closet and saying, oh, I don't have to change clothes, I can stay in my pajamas. No, there's nothing to live for. Right now, depression is on a very high level. And according to Ma, each one of you are part of that. Start talking to more people. I have people every day that say, how can I meet somebody new? Turn on your TV. There are more people right now looking at TV and looking at websites of how to meet people than there's ever been. Don't sit and think you're by yourself. Reach out. I've talked about this before. I call 4 people a day. They're not the same people. I call different people just to say, hi, how are you? What's going on? And I got more Christmas cards this year than I ever have, because people appreciate being thought of. And my spirit guide Ma keeps saying, stop talking badly about people. How many of you were raised that way? You don't talk badly about anybody. Well, this is the time to start putting it out there. Start talking very, very positively about what's going on. Okay? The political situation is going to be different. That doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's good. It's just going to be different. There are things that you're not going to agree with, and there's things you're going to agree with. But don't let it make your day unless you're involved and can really change things. And you can. As I said, if you don't like what somebody does, either ignore them or find a way to support somebody else. But making them bad doesn't support you. We want you to be supported in life because we know that you deserve it. You're an absolutely beautiful child. We saw this baby, our wonderful Rosalie. She's starting new, and there was that, it's a baby. You should be doing the same thing with, there's a teenager, or there's an older person. One of the things Ma said that just cracked me up. He said, you have so many people living in motorhomes along the roads that are homeless. They've chosen the only way that they can live that has a roof over their head is an old beat up motorhome. He says, why don't they paint them a bright color so that instead of saying, oh, there's homeless, like I hear people say, look at that. It looks like a caravan. It looks fantastic. I don't know whether Ma's thoughts about painting things bright colors is going to go over or not, but he says that's what we need to look forward to, is more brightness, more cheer, more joy, more love, and let go of the anger and the fear, because you are important and you do count. Thank you so much.
This year feels like a century, walking through the ages of change. encountering the worst and the best, trying to stay ourselves again. Oh, trying to stay in ourselves again, in ourselves again. We're gonna reach out against the fire-driven sky. We're gonna reach out, make each other more alive. We're gonna cradle the compassion in the midst of the pain. We're not in our transformation by our journey to be saved, in our journey again. When we return to the hearth of our belonging, we will throw open the window to the right. We are celebrating all we have become. We can claim our new wisdom sight, a wisdom sight. This year feels like a century, walking through the ages of change, encountering the worst and the best, trying to stay ourselves again. We're gonna reach out against the fire-driven sky. We're gonna reach out, make each other more alive. We're gonna cradle the compassion in the midst of the pain. We are in the transformation of our journey again, looking to be sane again. And when we return to the hearth of our belonging, we will throw open the window to the light. We are celebrating all we have become. We can claim our new wisdom sight. We can claim our wisdom sight. This year feels like a century, walking through the ages of change, encountering the worst and the best. We are being ourselves, being ourselves. We are being ourselves once again. We are celebrating all we have become. We can claim our new wisdom
Thank you for joining us for this celebration of faith and fellowship. We'll be back next Sunday. And for those of you, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave them in the comments section. If you appreciate this video and the work that the Center for Creative Living is doing, please press like on the video. You can share the video, and also please subscribe, because that will help this community and the church grow. Remember, in these difficult and challenging times, the opportunity to give and support an organization that has done so much for the community is tremendously important. Please help the Center for Creative Living continue in the wonderful work that it does. We will make it through this. We will be stronger for it. Our faith will carry us. Be blessed, be safe, and have a wonderful week.